Time has a way of sneaking up on us.
Are we on?
Yes.
Hey, happy November 4th. Easy to remember today's date because,
Right.
we know what
The
yesterday's date
Day
was.
after. It's like a hangover day.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Yeah. Well,
So opinions expressed are those of the show host, not WSTU or Treasure Coast broadcasters. Any reproduction or reuse of this program without the expressed written consent of WSTU is strictly prohibited.
and that was eloquently presented to you by world famous Big Frank Mezzapel.
Oh, yeah.
We're glad to have you back in the studio.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
Yeah, man.
absolutely.
And this is John Campion, your co-host with Frank, and today's very special guest, and he's always a joy to have in the on the show is
Absolutely.
Eric Keene from Cnw Technologies.
Hey,
Welcome aboard.
How you doing, John?
Good, man.
Yeah,
doing great. Doing great. And it's one of those names that's changed over the years, but it's easy to remember. And
Yes, CNW was CNW Computers, and we've been CNW Network Services, and we are now CNW Technologies, and have been for quite a number of years because we deal with all the technologies. So,
well, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, well, yeah, the name started out because it used to be CNW was whatever. So, Eric
computers and whatever.
Eric found himself out there putting computer desks together and all that. But we've known each other for a dozen or more years, and Eric Keene with CNW, they're over in the Regency Shopping Center, and was got just a fantastic organization that you've
newly redesigned office.
Newly redesigned office. They reinvented themselves over the last few years, and if you need computer help, I mean, he'll tell you. He's the man, and very involved in the community. So, when we talk about support small business and, all those things, that's what we're all about in the Martin County Business Exchange.
Yep.
And,
absolutely. I mean, if you support your local business, if you support the members, not just the members of MCBE, but your locally owned businesses, you actually still pump money back into your local economy more effectively than any other way that you can put money into the economy.
So, you probably know what the matrix is on that, but years ago when I used to pay attention to such things, it was like a 9-to-1. For every dollar you spent, it got respent 9 times in the community. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
it is huge.
It's a little bit less than that now, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff gets spread around, right? I just kind of am at the end of my personal campaign of supporting small business and whatnot, and my business is a European kitchen and bath over on Monterey. And I think last week my sign up there said, friends don't let friends shop at big box. And if you're listening and you work at a big box, or hey.
Well, they'll probably agree with you.
Probably. Yeah, I can tell customers, we haven't, I haven't had to deal with 1,000 people asking me questions today. I've got you. And so it's pretty amazing.
Well, and the idea of small business is that you can, if you can set your business up in the right way, you can be of more value. You can do that value add that the big box guys can't. They can go up to a certain level of value add, but after that, they just don't. They technically don't actually have the resources to go to that next to go beyond that. So if you're a small business, that is your it's important that you add that extra value, and we can. That's what we do best. So in my case with technology, it's like really truly understanding what you are needing and what we heard, and then coming up with our solution and telling you, of course, why us. Why are we better than going elsewhere, or even going online?
There you go.
Online. I mean, I'm in a technology business that we built online, and we used it before many others did, and yet online is good and is valuable and is necessary. Yet you can get added value of dealing with a local individual who is readily available to you when you need them for your business operations. And that business, and sometimes when we talk about small business, small business isn't as, in our area, small business is considered small compared to other.
But a real small business is 100 people or 500 or less, right?
Yeah.
When they're talking about that in the news or something.
So we have a diverse, economic base here in this area, and our small businesses can be even larger.
Yes.
But even if you go into other areas, and we service clients all across the country. So we actually have clients across the country. So we are the small business that actually goes into other communities sometimes. But we still try to maintain that personalized custom approach, because that is the most value that we can add. We can take your technology and make it work for you. Everybody, you can say that, oh, this computer is the same as that computer. It has the same processor, same RAM, whatever. But is it doing the job that you need it to do? Do you even need a computer? Maybe you don't need the computer. Maybe you need a tablet. Maybe you need some other, just your phone, and maybe able to access source information that's available in the cloud. Well, maybe you don't need the cloud the way classic cloud has been done in the past. Maybe you need a very specialized cloud environment. Well, who do you turn to help design that, make that happen, and put it together, put all the pieces together so it'll work? That's the type of thing we do. We can do that.
Like this. I don't know how you do it, man. It's incredible.
It's a specialized. It's the specialty that is different than if you go to a big box, where they have to, in order to be efficient, for them to try to drive down prices, they have to sell the same thing every time, over and over and over. Now, that's not to say we don't do something similar. But what we do is we sell you the right thing.
That's it.
That is designed for the type of business you are. We are experts in dealing with CPAs, where we have many clients that are CPAs. So that's one of our expertise. So we really understand what a CPA firm is looking for, and CPAs are looking for. We're also very strong in construction. So construction is another area that we have a lot of knowledge in and can work with. We're very strong in manufacturing. So we have a good understanding of manufacturing. And in fact, we have manufacturers that produce parts for Department of Defense, or subcontractors of subcontractors, for instance, of a primary defense contractor. And you have to meet certain regulatory requirements. Now that is mandatory, and it'll be even stiffer next year. Well, do you go to not only do you have to meet the security requirements that are being mandated, but now you have to also remediate those problems. And how do you do that? Well, we have people who can do that, and that's again one of our specialties. That's one of our special areas. And then you get into that just everyday person who has a system, and maybe has a small business. That one individual that has a small business that they need to be able to keep their system or systems or phones and telephones or whatever else working.
Pick me.
There you go. You're it. And that's what, and we do that as well. So, it takes, but if you're a big box environment, you can't do that. You can provide the product, but you can give some direction, but you can't get into the depth that you need for a business to really thrive in those particular areas.
You got me thinking there when you were talking about working in the construction end of it. Now, is that where you are working with companies who are out on the job site and creating their network for so many things? I mean, look, with using technology and you're at a construction site, there's the downtime has kind of disappeared to be time to do the planning and know what's going on and the timelines and everything.
And there's all different levels in in the construction industry. We work with a lot of the subcontractors that work with the main larger contractors. We work with the contractors themselves. The very large contractors often have their own IT departments, but that's not to say we don't even or can't even assist or supplement those IT departments. We can do that as well, and sometimes they get buried in a project, and where the day-to-day tasks can't get accomplished, we can step in and take over doing some of those day-to-day projects, day-to-day tasks that allow their dedicated IT department to finish the projects that move that company forward as well. But there's all different levels of support. But yeah, we have construction companies that are from small individual, small contractors, small subs, to larger companies with larger fleets of vehicles that are out there that are communicating back to the home office, the cloud office, or whatever it might be, to very, $50 million companies that are doing huge amounts of construction all over the
residential and commercial.
Usually those are in the commercial range.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
that are
a lot going on.
That are dealing with that out, across the state. So, you can deal with it's interesting that when you go into a field, let's say construction, the needs are the same. How you make those needs, how you accomplish those needs can be a little bit different depending whether you're an air conditioning repairman or air conditioning. You deploy air conditioners, or you are pouring concrete. The needs are about the same, surprisingly, but the way you do it and the software and how you do it is and how you put that all together to make the technology work for that environment can be different.
Well, that diversification in there is just amazing. I have to have some things to talk to you about when
tailored on the fly
when we take our 20-minute commercial break, because I got a lot to talk to you about. No, but it's really amazing, and we've been on here before, Eric, and I've always been multi-impressed by where you were and where you've come to and where you're going. And one of the things I was just thinking about is, what do you see as your biggest challenge in the next year? I'm not going to say to 5 years. I mean, the next year is, let's just hope we get some of these things behind us, I don't like to use the word new normal or anything like that anymore. It's what it is.
I think I have, and along those lines, there was, I actually heard I was in a meeting with the new IRSC president, Dr. Tim Moore. He made a comment that I have been using a lot because I really liked his description. He says, we have to now move on beyond the pandemic stage. We are beyond the panic stage. So it's not pandemic anymore. It is endemic. It is going to be with us for a long time, even after the vaccine comes along. So we have to understand that we have to work within the realm of it being endemic. It's yes, worse than the flu, but it is going to be. But the flu is endemic. It's there all the time. Every year we cycle through it.
Yeah, we're going to have 65,000 people pass away every year from the flu.
Right.
Nationwide.
Right.
65,000.
So
right
okay.
here.
And so we're at 200,000 with that thing.
No one ever talks about that.
Right.
Yeah. So the idea that
the part of our normal
or normalcy. And I don't know what the number of people die in car accidents every year, but that's significant.
Significant number.
Significant. So that's when something becomes endemic, that it's there and it just happens. And you try to prevent it. You try to do other things and work around that.
Right.
And I think that's where the stage is that we're getting for dealing with the COVID environment, COVID situation. It's becoming endemic, and we're going to have to get, and we're going to be used to it. It's not going to go away for a long, long time, if ever.
Right.
So we just have to understand that. Now, as far as business and how and where we're going, and certainly in the technology areas, there's going to be technology aspects that are going to improve our ability to deal with this endemic situation, and we will be able to utilize those and put them in place. Testing will get better and quicker and faster,
The survival rates are getting better.
The survival rates will get better, and continue to get better. And so there's going to be technology that's going to come into play that's going to make things different. The tracking and so forth is going to probably become better, if that even is really going to end up being really done long term. That may not be.
I think it is, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's a good point. On the tracking or tracing, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
My roommate from college, with Frank and I being from Michigan, my roommate from college lives in Detroit, and I was talking to him the other day, and he said that they got his phone number. They're going to be tracing, doing the tracing thing, which they talked about to see where he's been and where he's going. Right. So they've got his information, and it's the first time I've heard that from somebody I know that's what they're doing up in Wayne County, up in Detroit, which is one of the biggest areas that was hit.
Right. So, well, months ago, there was actually some of the other countries, the Bahamas actually were doing that. If you got in, you had your phone with you, and they tracked where you were and so forth, and you had to, so it's being
Google Earth.
Yeah, it's being done. I mean, most phones already have had the again, months ago, the app installed on the that was downloaded and installed on your app to allow you to, if you turned it on, that you were in an area that was supporting it, that you would actually be notified if you were around somebody who had been around somebody, or who had COVID, or been around somebody else who had COVID, and so forth. So that was developed by a combination of Google and Apple. Actually worked together to put that together primarily. And so that's already on your phone. It's sitting there idle, not turned on, generally speaking, but it could be turned on at any point in time. So we're going to see a lot of different things happening. I think people are finally getting understanding, the risk reward aspect of working, that the economy is the key over, the health of individuals is vitally important. And we want to see no one pass away or be sick with this type of, this disease. I can say personally that my father-in-law passed away up in Maryland from COVID. I mean, really? So
sorry.
So that is something that so I know that, but at the same time, you can't. That's family, and yet at the same time, you can't. There's worse ramifications if you stop the economy. We're already seeing it. My wife's a teacher. She sees the stresses that are being put on the kids right now. They are. We see it in other statistics that people are talking about with
suicide rates,
and so forth.
Yeah.
And, there is just not going to be, you have to work at keeping the economy rolling along and understand that, yes, there is risk. Take some, appropriate precautions. Right. I mean, we're kind of 6 feet apart about here right now.
Yes, we
you've
are.
got a mask on. Frank, then we could. That doesn't quite work.
I have yours out in the car.
Yeah, for those radio listeners, John is trying to put this over his headphones, and it does not work that way.
I have a big head.
Yeah. So, but it is. It takes some. It takes some actual, appropriate. Have you been around anybody who has had COVID? Well, then don't go around other people, and then don't and wear a mask and use some common sense. So that's a big factor of it. A big factor as well. And actually, talking about that, I think I did put it in my pocket. Maybe I didn't.
We've got spares.
Yes,
but
I did. I got my my custom I Buy Local.
Nice.
It's a great mask. I love it. I've got one in the car, one at work.
Very patriotic.
And and the point is, though, technology-wise, we're going to be able to attack some of this technology-wise. The bigger thing, though, is what do we do economically-wise? Well, you know what? We need to focus on trying to make sure that the economy moves forward and utilize the tools that we have. And I have said this before. I've said it, a computer, and it goes beyond just the computer. Now it goes to your smartphone and any other, and even your desk phones and other phones and other devices. Computers, they're all computers now. And the computer is the most wonderful multifunction tool in existence. Mm-hmm. It can do just about anything you want it to do. And what you need to do, though, is tell it. You have to do it you have to use that multifunction tool and use it for good, not for bad. Use it for good stuff that is going to move things forward. And I think even though we're all tired of the Zoom meetings, we're all tired of the Teams meetings, we're tired of the GoTo meetings, we're tired of the online meetings, it wasn't that fantastic that was available at the time when we absolutely needed it the most. Right. And we could continue business. We could continue to function.
Could you imagine just 30 years ago if this?
Not even that.
Yeah.
Not even that long ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that even 5 years ago, the infrastructure was probably not in place that would have supported this, supported what happened. In fact, everybody was. And this is where the naysayers get into it a little bit. They start saying, "Oh my gosh, the infrastructure is going to collapse," and yet the infrastructure did not collapse in that situation. Now there was some strains and then things, some weaknesses, and there are still some problems out there. But in general, the infrastructure did not collapse. You have problems, just like your car. If it's not running well, you go and get it fixed. You fix it. And sometimes we complain about why the car's not running well, but you fix it and you move on and you continue to use your car. Same things happen with the technology. And the technology, there's opportunities to really use. We have more powerful technology sitting in on our hips, in our pockets, on our desktops, and everywhere we look than we have ever had. And if you don't know how to use that to its fullest, to maximize its capabilities, then you need to be investing in that. And that's where you need to be focusing on some of your money. So in answer to your question, where are we going with things? It is leveraging the technology for your business environment to another level. And I know we've talked about this a little bit before about websites for European kitchen and bath. Getting a website that allows you to do some of the operations that you would do in the office and offload having to have maybe all the time the personal interaction, but still having that personal interaction available when you need it. A chat session with a live person talking to you. We're all used to it now. Right. So have not a chat where you type, have a chat where you talk. Okay. And a video conferencing. Remember 30, 40 years ago, if you're that old, they talked about the, AT&T was going to have these video phones and they actually even went further back than that, but they were going to have video phones. Guess what? We have it now. Right. We absolutely have it now on your computer, on your phone. I mean, the other day, my son, who's in the Navy, he called, just started a video call, just like the typical, either iPhone, Android phone, whatever, just started one up. And then my wife and I were just chatting with him. He showed me the new house he's bought and all the rest of it. And it was great.
You can share it with them real time.
You can share it real time. Yeah. We could do the same thing with our businesses on that. If you have salespeople who are walking the floor and they're not doing something, and a chat call comes in because somebody's looking at, let's say, wants to look at a particular type of sink, why not make it a video call? Almost everybody has the ability to do it, especially on their smartphones, to have a video call. And when they're talking to them face to face, you create that face to face. It's not the same as in person, but it's similar.
Close. Yeah.
It's close.
Yeah.
And now you can have that face-to-face conversation, and then you can have, and then they say, "Oh, I'd really like to see what that looks like." You say, "Hey, I've got one on the floor. I can show you, give you an idea of what it looks like. Hang on, let me walk over there," and then you could show them. You could even have a better camera use it for this type of thing, type of situation. Walk over to them, show them what it's going to look like, and they say, "I think I really like that." Then come down to the showroom. Right. And work out the rest of the details. Minimizes connectivity. So just again, utilizing your technology, much technology that you actually have right now.
Right.
and you've already purchased,
leverage it. Yeah.
Just leverage it.
Yeah.
Which has to be some, take
Yeah,
some investment, and investment usually does mean some money, but guess what? You could recover a lot of that investment real quick. R&D, they used to call it. R&D, research and development.
All right.
So
Very good.
Okay, there's an idea.
No, it's great because.
And now,
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
again,
Nothing up my sleeve.
Presto.
Presto!
wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Frank, it's great to have you back. That's the Jetsons, right?
You got it.
Yeah, man. Ruh-roh. No, that's
Yeah.
Yep.
his boy Elroy. Oh, I'll be quiet.
All right. Enough of that. But I always like to use some
Good
sort
old
of-
Elroy. Well, those are great memories because a lot of this Beanie and Cecil and that, and it was Sunday nights, it seems, or Great World of Disney, and Wide Animal
World of
Kingdom,
Sports.
and
Yeah.
Wild, all that stuff. It was so cool.
Yeah. Well, and again, if you think back, okay, we're going to go at a little time warp backwards. Okay. If you really think about some of those individuals, especially like the Walt Disneys and so forth, they always looked forward for the technology, what they could do, and invested in that technology, in the newer technology to make things better, and which they were able to then able to leverage to make their whole operation better, which gave them a better prestige, which allowed them to charge more. If you look at Disney ticket pricing anymore, it just kind of goes hand in hand. But if you are offering a greater value, then that value is worth something, and your clients and businesses and so forth benefit. I mean, John, I know you offer what you sell as opposed to the big box stores is of higher quality, and probably you buy, I hate to say it this way, unless you want to remodel, buy once and you'll never buy it again.
That's very true.
Or it could be. But isn't that, I have always, I am one of those people who does like to hang on to my technology, to get its life out of it. Okay. So I am not, there was not,
everyone raise your hand.
There used to be a, in my industry, it was like, okay, you should put everybody on a 3-year cycle, 3-year replacement cycle. And I always had a problem with that. If you're buying quality equipment, you should have a longer cycle. So our cycle was usually more like 4 years, is what we recommended. And yet, even that was kind of iffy, 4 to 5. But if you did quality equipment, things were still accelerating quick enough, getting more powerful and so forth, that you would lose capability. So you'd start, equipment was fine, equipment still worked, but then you were having performance issues that slowed down the productivity of your office. So you had the benefit of that, the equipment. You didn't have to replace the equipment after 5 years, or 4 or 5 years, but your productivity would go down. So you had to marry that. You had to marry that together. So 4 years was good. Then it went to 5 years, and then the level of, certainly in the business class, not necessarily the consumer class, but the business class equipment, even's gone beyond that. It's in the 5-6 year level. Wow. And where you can get, and I'm talking about computers, not necessarily some of the other devices, but in the area of computers, you get that longevity because the systems have become so powerful that that they are able to keep up with the newer advances. And we added something called the cloud, which offloaded some functionality that used to have to be done internally on premise. And it could be moved off premise onto much, much more powerful systems. So I will say this, there is a slight, there's the plus gain in productivity with shared ability for multiple individuals to more easily access and share resources when you're in the cloud, when you are dispersed over many areas. But if you're all in the same office, there's a slight degradation of performance if you are going to a cloud environment. However, if you even have one person that's out in the field or you want to work remotely, and as we discovered with COVID-19, needed to work remotely, the cloud was the answer. Our cloud clients were basically, they didn't stop functioning. They continued to operate as they were. Why? Because they worked just like they always did, day in and day out. It was no difference. Wow. Our clients that had more on-premise equipment, we had to make accommodations for them so that they could work remotely, which kept us very busy for a little while. Trying to get them so that they could operate remotely or continue to operate remotely. And then we have the hybrid version, which is partly in and out. And that also was, it just took a little tweaking and adjusting. So, every situation is different, but if you can leverage that technology, leverage it to its maximum, get the most productivity out of it, don't have to replace it necessarily on a 3-year cycle or even a 4-year cycle, maybe even a 5-year cycle, if it's sized right to begin with. Right. Then you're set. You don't have to replace equipment, but keeping it running is a different story. Now it needs to be managed. It needs to be, you need to review it. You need to make sure it's working at its optimum performance on a continuing basis. Otherwise, things and problems will creep up, and you won't, and it becomes very difficult to figure out where they came from. With as simple as, you know, the one of the dirty secrets in the industry is the front end has become so much simpler for the end user. In fact, the end user can often think, you know, oh, I can just fix it. I can just do that. It's easy. You know, it used to be hard to set up printers and make printers work or whatever, but now it's easy. I just do, you know, click, 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 and it works. You know, the problem is when things go wrong now, the back end has become immensely more complex. And so when things go really wrong, if you haven't been monitoring it, managing it, and aware of what has been going on, it becomes extremely difficult to potentially discover and solve. And then people look at the bill of, oh, it's going to cost me how much to get this fixed? You know, it took you 5 hours to resolve that. How could it possibly take 5 hours to resolve it? Well, unmanaged environment, have no history of what's going on. Nobody's taking notes of what's going on. What is going on? No, nothing's been tracking. And it's been going on for the past month, but nobody told anybody. Or nobody wanted to make the call because they were afraid it was going to cost a lot. Well, a month ago, it may not have cost. It may have been only 30 minutes to fix it. You know, a month later, it's 5 hours. So we're in a different world about managing all the technology. But still, the technology, if it's running efficiently, it just makes it, you can really leverage and get even a small business can really make money out of their technology and really make you money. It's not like a money machine, but if it's set up right,
total idea.
If it's set up right, it can be.
I see it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the other things I was thinking about, and I don't mean to want to change gears big time, but I love talking to you about this because it's something that I think a lot of people are wondering out there. I know that you are on top of the electric car scenario.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something you want to just talk about, but if I wanted to ask you a couple questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Because, you know, my oldest son, works for Disney, and he is he's a recycler. He's he drives the Prius. I remember when I may have said this before on the air, when I bought, I have a Yukon, and when I bought it, he goes, "Is it a hybrid, Dad?" You know, and so I said, "No, I got the big guzzler. I'm offsetting all the things that you don't like." So then I've been looking at a new car, and you know, it's not a hybrid or electric or whatever. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I should think about, you know, maybe a used Tesla.
The Tesla pickup truck. That'd be the
I can't afford that. But
no,
you know,
it's only $40,000
for the
45 starting at somewhere. I think around
the pickup.
It's the Cybertruck.
Cybertruck. Oh, awesome. 500-mile range.
Well,
maybe.
So
not
then
not with the 45,000.
You know, so then, you know, Sam is my son's name, and so he's on top of this stuff pretty good. So then I said, well, what about that Hummer commercial? Dad, that's just all done through a computer. They don't even have
CGI,
it.
They don't even have it.
Yeah, they don't even have it. And so then I was talking to somebody else today, and I guess I thought Ford was going to electric pickups.
They will. It's they've still got a little ways to go before
they partnered up with the Rivian.
Rivian is the one. Rivian's going to be probably
Frank, what have you been doing?
You've been studying.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Rivian is going to be probably the first one that's going to be electric truck. That's going to for consumer side is going to be coming out. They'll have a truck, and then they have an SUV, same version, same platform. That'll be a fully closed SUV type vehicle, and that'll come out right after it. So the Rivian's just around the corner. So when I say around the corner, it's going to be next year, definitely. Whether it's first part of next year or mid-year, I don't know. But that one is on target to get out there. As
is
far as
Rivian the name of the car?
Yeah, it
but
is.
The manufacturer is
Rivian is
Rivian. They're the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Rivian vehicle. Interesting, actually, thing about the name of that. Part of it was the guys who developed that started developing it. They were actually based up in the Indian River, up in Brevard County, that area.
Whoops, excuse me. I'm sorry.
That'll
wake you up.
and they had
Man
and
with
they
the
were
iron
there.
mask.
They eventually moved to Detroit because there was just more technology there and all that. But the name Rivian comes from part of it comes from the river because that's where they started on the river there. So
Indian River.
Indian River. That's right.
Frank, we're going to take a break. This is Martin County Business Exchange Wednesday night show. We're going to take another little quick break, and we'll be back to continue our great discussions with the great Eric Keene up against the world famous Big Frank Mezzapel. We'll be right back.
See ya.
Arrived, he stood 6'6" and weighed 245, kind of broad at the shoulder and narrow at the hip, and everybody knew you didn't give no lip to Big John. Big John.
Yep, that's me. Big John. Just remember that, Frank.
Big Bad John.
There you go.
Thanks, man.
Here's your intro.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much. We're back with the Martin County Business Exchange Wednesday night show. John Campion, your co-host with, excuse me, I'm taking a breath, with Frank Mezzapel, and our guest is Eric Keene from Cnw Technologies, who is the man's got a lot of information
of knowledge.
Plethora.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we were talking about the electric vehicles, and part of the reason I go follow on that, I particularly Tesla, but others as well, because I am comparing because Tesla is a computer on wheels.
It is.
Okay, I have said I would really love a Tesla because it's a computer on wheels. Not, a lot of people want to do it for the environment, and that's a good thing. A lot of people do it for other reasons, for its performance and all that, and that's a good thing. I like it because it's a computer on wheels. That's the reason I would want it.
So many Tesla owners say when they get in their car in the morning, the car's already downloaded new updates and new features just pop up, and
if you
new
like
functions.
If you like the Apple idea of the way that Apple sold products, Tesla's in that is more in that count.
I guess I have to go sit in one and go, okay, can I handle this every day?
I drove a Model 3, just for giggles, because Todd and I went down there to do that. Yeah. And what a blast. And it just handles like a car.
Were you the first off the light by about Yeah.
You could beat just about anything and anything
Right.
off the light,
Oh, yeah.
including many of the motorcycles out there,
Did
even
you-
street racers.
Did you feel comfortable in there
Oh,
and
yeah.
you under control and
Mhm.
safe? And
Yeah.
See, here's the thing about an electric car.
The feel was just very much like a car.
Yeah, here's the thing about electric cars.
like
They are really just like any other car.
Mhm.
They feel actually a little bit more secure because the weight is so low for the batteries. So they actually feel they actually are better on the road, and they are safer on the road. The only real difference between an electric car, other than the fancy gadgets and all that they're throwing in there, which everybody's kind of doing now, is really the power source. What are you using to drive or to power the motors? In standard internal combustion engines, you use gasoline or diesel. In an electric car, you use electricity. So the difference is just what are you using for your power source to drive the vehicle. The vehicle themselves, yes, Tesla takes it to a Uber level of with their with the way they manage the system. I personally like on the Model 3 and Model Y, they have the one big large screen off to the to the right of the driver, and nothing directly in front of you as far as speedometer, typical things that you would normally experience. But in the Model S and Model X, they have that still, and you have the large screen, touch screen next to you. So I think one of the coolest cars out there, and again, range is just a little bit too shy on for me, and there's a reason I need the range. More so, not for everyday use, not for 90% of what I would be driving it for, maybe 80% of what I'd be driving it for. But I have one long trip that I have to do, or I don't have to, but I want to, because it's a second home. That's a long way away. And to drive there, the time it would take with the current battery technology, with the current ranges, just pushes it over being comfortable. But with the new battery technology that's coming out, that's going to change.
Yes.
Ford Mustang, I think, has probably the new Mach-E Ford Mustang, I think, has probably the slickest dashboard, side touchscreen combination. I think when you look at it, it looks sharp. It internally in the interior, it has the right. It just has the right feel. It has the right balance of both touch and manual controls or knobs or whatever. Ford has done a superb job in that area. I think it's probably the best. I think it tops Tesla in many ways in that piece. Where it falls short is in the mileage. The mileage for me, and a little bit also. And if you're going on those long drives, it falls short in the this fast charging, the ability to charge outside of your home. There, it's going to cost you more than it would in, let's say, Tesla will charge. And Tesla has the bigger environment, the supercharging stations.
And then
across the
last year, Tesla bought Maxwell Technologies out of California, and they're super capacitors. So what does that mean? So the super capacitors, they're going to find a way to marry those with the battery technology already in the vehicle.
Maybe
you can. That's their plan.
That's a plan.
And what the whole notion is that you would go to the supercharging station, and for the amount of time you would do for a regular fill up with a regular internal combustion engine, you go ahead and then you spend about 10 minutes or so at the electric pump, and then you go, and then for the remaining 45 minutes while you're traveling, the capacitors are discharging that power to the batteries.
That's been one theory and all that.
Yes.
One of the problems with that was weight and so forth. But now that they have this new battery technology that they're rolling out, which takes less weight, takes up less space, that becomes a potential reality. The true issue is that they have now computed over the life of the vehicle that the cost for operating, powering, and maintaining a vehicle, an electric vehicle, is now below, and the manufacturing costs included in there is now tip the scales and is just at or just below what it costs to manufacture an ICE vehicle, an internal combustion engine. So gas-powered vehicles, this is the end of the era for them.
It's
now, we're going to see them for quite a while. We're going to see them for quite a while.
You bet.
No doubt. But it is the end of the era. So electric vehicles and the computers, and the computers on board that technology is making it all possible to really do this like never before.
That? One of the things that they do that people tell some of the YouTube channels that I frequent, right? They talk about the fact that they get in their car and they discover that now they've got more usable mileage.
More range.
Range. Yep. That nothing's changed physically, but it's software. Somehow they've managed the software in a different way, and they give them more range.
Because they're managing the data. They're tracking, millions of miles of what data, and then they're saying, oh, if we tweak this engine to perform this way in this, or this motor to perform this way in this particular situation, we'll squeak out a little extra mileage out of it. Oh, put in the programming code, done. Yeah. Upload it download it to your car, and now you've got that extra range. So, I am I have, and I've told you this before, I still have a very old, one of the original Ford Escape hybrids. It still runs beautifully. My batteries are done pretty much. They still work and all that, but they don't work the way they used to or the way they should. But they're nickel metal hydride batteries. It's old battery technology. It still works. Over 200,000 miles on it. 15 years later, 16 years later now, I think, that vehicle is still functional. So everybody who says, oh, batteries won't last. Well, 16 years, how many people hang out of their car for 16 years?
That's amazing.
And that's old technology. That's not even the new technology.
You and my wife.
So yeah. So that's it. Technology is, use the technology, get some modern technology where you can, make sure it fits with what your needs are. That's the only reason I don't have a Tesla sitting out there right now. Well, that and the cost, but
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've been saving up for that one, but if you have to have the technology that fits, and use that technology to its maximum capabilities, and you'll be more than satisfied. You'll gain so much out of it. And that's that's going back to what we originally talked about. That's what we do that's what we do for our clients. That's what we do for people who need to use the best their technology to its maximum out of their office, invest in your technology, and you will reap the rewards back. I mean, it'll come back. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, it's great. Eric, I'm so glad that you're have shared a lot of these thoughts with us today and our listeners.
Yeah, give out your contact information, Eric, please.
Yeah, you can reach us you can check us out on our website, cwnow.com. That's cwnow.com. You can call us at 772-287-5215. And that's probably, you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on the Facebook. Just come by. We're in the Regency Square, right next to where Steinmore used to be, and West Marine. So that's where we are. And come in and say hi. Masks are mandatory, but
it sure helps.
It does help. Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. We hope you have a great week. Be safe.